Hello and welcome to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. It's been a very exciting morning here. Earlier today, NASA's Ingenuity Mars Helicopter completed the first powered controlled flight on another planet. And we are here now to tell you more about how that went. I'm your host, Jari Cook of the JPL Digital News and Media team, and I'm joined here by key players who helped make this helicopter flight possible. We are going to start with some opening remarks, but I'm going to introduce the panelists first. First, you'll hear from Steve Jurisic, NASA's acting administrator. Next, you'll hear from Michael Watkins, director of JPL. And then we have a set of panelists for more discussion. Thomas Zurbuchen, NASA's associate administrator for the Science Mission Directorate. Mimi Aung, Ingenuity project manager. Bob Balaram, Ingenuity Chief Engineer, and Håvard Grip, Ingenuity Chief Pilot, and Justin Maki, Perseverance rover imaging scientist and Deputy Principal Investigator of the Mastcam-Z instrument. So I want to also note that the helicopter team is actually also with us on video conference. They can't join us because of COVID restrictions, but I just wanted to take a minute and celebrate the first powered controlled flight on another planet. Yay! Virtual high fives all around, COVID safe. All right, now I wanted to note that we are going to take some questions. Those of you on the media telecon, if you want to put yourself in the queue, please press *1. Anyone with questions can also ask questions using the hashtag #MarsHelicopter. Okay, so let's get started with Steve Jurisic, who will then hand over to Michael Watkins at the lectern. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you. So first, I just want to congratulate the team on an amazing historic first. Congratulations to Mimi, Bob, and Håvard. Just amazing. Like you said, first control-powered flight on another planet. Just truly amazing. Also want to congratulate the entire Perseverance team. The helicopter was added somewhat late, to the project, which made it really challenging, not only for the helicopter team, but also for the Perseverance team. So for John and Matt and the Perseverance team who had to figure out how to integrate the helicopter on Perseverance and deliver it to the surface and deploy it, and for Jen and her team, the ops team, who supported this historic first flight. Congratulations to everybody. This was really a all hands on deck effort. It involved the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate, the Space Technology Mission Directorate, and the Science Mission Directorate. It involved JPL, of course, but also the Ames Research Center and the Langley Research Center. It was really a unique, somewhat unique integration of our aeronautics research talent and capabilities and our space systems development capability that really was able to accomplish this amazing flight very early this morning. I feel like I've followed along with the team while I was at Langley and then at headquarters in Space Tech and then in the associate administrator role. I make a trip to JPL about once every year, and they'd always take me over to Mimi's lab, the Mars Helicopter lab, and Mimi would tell me what they've accomplished and all the challenges they've had and what they've had to overcome. And her just excitement and enthusiasm for making this happen was infectious. I think her leadership, along with the talent of the team, made me believe that they could do it, and they did. So again, congratulations. Many challenges, including having to complete the helicopter development during a global pandemic. They had to get the size and weight of the helicopter down so they could achieve, lift using rotary blades in a very thin atmosphere. And then, of course, they had another late challenge with having to do a software
Ingenuity project manager
change and update and do that with a helicopter 180 million miles from Earth. So just an amazing job. This really is a Wright brothers moment. It's the start of a whole new kind of planetary exploration, and we'll build on Ingenuity's success to see how we can deploy this capability on future Mars missions. We have this evolution of exploring planets in the solar system. First, we do a flyby, then we'll do an orbiter mission, then we'll do a lander mission, then we'll land a rover, and now we've added another evolutional capability there, flight on another planet. Ingenuity was a technology demonstration, an experimental mission, but its success is truly remarkable, and it gives us this new capability. I believe, along with Mike and Thomas, that we should be doing these types of technology demonstrations on all our science missions to take advantage of the ability to prove out new technologies and capabilities that will then feed forward to even more ambitious and productive missions in the future. So you all have exemplified what it means to be part of this amazing NASA team. Many organizations, and you came up with this dream and this innovative idea, and you overcame all the challenges and made it happen. This could not be more proud of the team. Again, in the global pandemic, launching Perseverance, landing Perseverance, and now deploying and flying the helicopter, just incredible, and congratulations again. You all really personify the motto of Dare Mighty Things and embody our nation's spirit of persevering even in the most challenging situation. And you are providing inspiration and advancing science and exploration for not only the United States, but for the world. So congratulations again. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Mike Watkins.
Okay, thank you, Steve. It has been a great day here at JPL, and we're very proud that we are continuing to be at the forefront of daring mighty things in planetary exploration. And I wanted to build on something that you noted, which is that Ingenuity is a technology demonstration, right? It builds for the future. And in many ways, it is a perfect example of how we need to be doing technology and how we need to develop technology. And the brilliant engineers, some of whom you'll see in the orange shirts, came up with the idea for Ingenuity, for a Mars helicopter, before we had a name Ingenuity, over 7 years ago. And there was a push from technology, but it wasn't quite clear at that time, was it really the right instrument, was it really the right thing, a helicopter, to put on the Perseverance rover. And so we did what we felt was right, which was we stuck to it. And we kept working on the Mars helicopter. We kept overcoming technological hurdles, and we kept showing why it would be valuable as a scientific instrument in the future. And a combination of rugged support from JPL in terms of technology development, as well as NASA headquarters, and an exceptional team that overcame all the technological challenges one by one until it became obvious that the right thing to do was to put it on Perseverance and fly it to Mars as a full demonstration. And I think that's the kind of partnership, the kind of push of technology and pull of science that we are now seeing to be very productive within NASA. And actually, we're working on several other missions that have technology components, much like Ingenuity, but going to other parts of the solar system as well. Now, our brilliant team has overcome a number of challenges. And for those of you that remember, back in 1997, we had a mission called Mars Pathfinder, and it had effectively a technology demo called the Sojourner rover. And that freed us up from being in the place we stuck the landing to being able to drive around. And now of course, those rovers have become Curiosity and our latest Perseverance, capable of driving tens of miles on the surface and going to the best places for scientific discovery. Well, what the Ingenuity team has done is given us the third dimension. They've freed us from the surface now forever in planetary exploration, so that we can now make a combination, of course, of driving on the surface and sampling the surface and doing reconnaissance and even scientific experimentation on inaccessible places for a rover. And I think this is exactly the way we build the future. And I think you'll hear a lot more about the scientific promise rotorcraft on Mars as part and other planets as part of the Science Mission Directorate portfolio. And to talk about the importance of Ingenuity and some of the future, I'd like to turn over to my colleague, Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen, who is the Associate Administrator for the Science Mission Directorate at NASA headquarters. Thomas.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. And I just want to tell you, as I'm starting here, I'm just so proud to be up here next to Mimi, and especially that team here also on the monitor. And I just want to tell you on behalf of all of us at NASA Science how proud we are of you and how we recognize how important you are for this particular success. So I just want to ask one more time, everybody, to join me in applause for the team. The story of this team is compelling. It's a story of a great, perhaps even a crazy idea initially. Many people, have a really hard time. It turns out we all have a hard time, finding that right line between crazy and innovative. It turns out we're often wrong with that line. A crazy idea that was being developed, and this team put that idea into reality. The most important thing that takes, of course, is hope. It's the hope that that is actually possible to come together with with everything this team has, with the personal education, with the commitment to success, and with learning from each other until it actually works. So for me, what I want to point to is the first picture here. And I want to just tell you, this picture means two things for me. On the one hand, I recognize that this picture was taken from the Van Zyl Overlook. And my friend Jacob is no longer with me. I see in this picture because I know that he was an important part of making this helicopter happen. The second thing that is important in this picture is what you don't know right now as you look at it. It's actually the after flight picture. And so it landed there, and it landed on the surface after this flight, and it did so safely. And so for me, again, what I see in this is now not only this amazing little machine, but the team that actually achieved that. And it relates this to a story that's 117 years apart and 173 million miles apart, a story that actually started even earlier with a little toy that a father brought home to two kids. They were about 10 years old. It's a rubber band with a little rotor. It's a little toy that never got out of their mind. They became bicycle mechanics, and they started working on this and actually did that famous record in 1903 when they achieved first controlled flight on this Earth. So when we look at the previous picture that I just showed, I want to just tell you that in homage of this amazing achievement, we have designated, and please pull up the next picture, have designated this landing site as the Wright Brothers Field. We are so excited to have these two stories, the story of Ingenuity and their team, related to the Wright brothers. And I just want to tell you, as we go forward, actually, that connection has already been made, and we talk about it. I have here in front of me a little sample of the flyer, actually the actual fabric that did that historic act in 1903. And what I want to show you in the next movie is actually how this sample, you see there's a piece missing in what I just showed you. In the next movie, I show how this piece that is missing was actually included on this flyer, and this morning made history together with it. So for me, Mimi team, Ingenuity team, history connecting those two amazing stories together has been made this morning. And why don't you tell us more, Mimi Aung, about it?
Great, thank you, Thomas. Well, our team has been working over 6 years, some even longer, towards that dream of experimenting the first ever flight at Mars. And this morning, our dream came true. If we can play this video, this is taken from Perseverance rover, video of our dream, just beautiful. taking off. Goosebumps. It looks just the way we had tested in our test chamber, space simulator chamber here. Absolutely beautiful flight. I don't think I can ever stop watching it over and over again. And lands. Well, when things work, it looks easy. I would like to take this opportunity to remind how difficult it is to fly a rotorcraft at Mars. First and foremost, because the atmosphere there is so thin, right? About 1% compared to that at Earth. That's like on Earth being elevation 3 times the height of Himalayas. So the air is very thin, and Ingenuity had to be really light, small, and has to be able to fly in this thin atmosphere and survive on its own. It did all of that under 4 pounds. So Bob Balaram will be talking more of that, but I did want to remind that. Well, this morning was an incredible moment. Our team reaction here this morning, this video. It was around 3:30 a.m. this morning, but it sure didn't feel like early in the morning. It just felt like a very normal middle of the day, extraordinarily exciting.
We have data products confirming that we unpacked image and 1 hertz data. This is downlink handing off to flight control for telemetry analysis.
Swash plate servos appear healthy. Overall actuators appear healthy.
This flight control confirming that we have EVRs from Ingenuity. Ingenuity is reporting having performed spin-up, takeoff, climb, hover, descent, landing, touchdown, and spin down. And altimeter data confirms that Ingenuity has performed its first flight, the first flight of a powered aircraft to another planet.
Unforgettable day, unforgettable day. And, you know, it's all about the team to start with. Really, you know, our team across JPL, Ames, Langley, with our industrial partners, AeroVironment, Qualcomm, Solero, Lockheed, others. We were a team. I mean, just a strong team. And during this morning downlink, I did say that we had many friends who contributed to our success, okay, and including Perseverance rover team, and many, many others. And some of them are far away now. And again, as Thomas mentioned, Jacob Van Zyl, I'm sure you were watching our first flight from the Jacob Overlook. So we're thinking about you, David. I'm thinking about you, Jacob. So with that, this early morning flight, what it means for our mission success. Mars Helicopter Ingenuity Technology Demonstration Project has 3 goals in line with NASA's agency-level objectives. So the first is to show on Earth that it is possible to fly power control flight at Mars. We did that before we were launched. And then the second goal was to actually fly at Mars. We have done it. This is the first time I've been able to say we've done it. And the third goal is to get data back that will inform engineers that are going to designing future generations of Mars helicopters. And we have done that too, and we're going to continue. So beyond this first flight, over the next coming days, we have up to 4 flights planned, and increasingly difficult flights, challenging flights, and we are going to continually push all the way to the limit of this rotorcraft. We really want to push the rotorcraft flights to the limit and really learn and get information back from that. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Bob Balaram, our chief engineer and really the innovator of our original design for Mars Helicopter. Over to you, Bob.
Thank you, Mimi. First, I'd like to just take a moment to thank all of you who have been on this journey with me. There's been many a technical conversation, many a late night, many a test, and I want to thank all of you who have been part of that, and your families and your loved ones who have helped, get us to this point. Ingenuity itself is extremely healthy at this point. In fact, she's even healthier than she was before this flight. She shook off some of her dust that had been covering her solar panel and is in fact producing even more solar energy than before. The batteries are looking good. The communication system is fantastic. The landing gear appears to have worked well. All the servo mechanisms and motors are doing great. The computers and the avionics behaved flawlessly. So all in all, it's in a perfect state, and I'm just really excited to see what all she can teach us over the next few weeks as we explore aerial mobility on Mars. And with that, Håvard, if you can tell us about exactly what happened during this flight, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, this flight was all about proving that it is possible to fly on Mars. So to that end, what we had instructed Ingenuity to do was to climb to altitude of 3 meters, hover there for a little bit, about 5 seconds, then make a turn of about 96 degrees, hover for another 20 seconds, and then go to land again in the same place that it took off from. And that's what we told Ingenuity to do, and it did exactly that, and it did it just perfectly. From everything we've seen so far, it was a flawless flight. It was a gentle takeoff. At altitude, it gets pushed around a little bit by the winds, but it really just maintained station very well, and it stuck the landing right in the place where it was supposed to go. When we were looking at the downlink data this morning, one of the first things, or one of the most important things that we were looking for was this plot that you can see, which is a plot of the altimeter. That was really our first indication, or real proof, I should say, that, yeah, we really did leave the ground. We really did fly. In addition to this kind of telemetry, during the flight itself, Ingenuity was telling us all along what it was doing. And so what we were able to do with that data is we could take that data and reconstruct the flight and create an animation out of it. So what we're going to see here is such a reconstruction where we've taken that engineering data and animated the flight accordingly. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to look at the flight in a different way, for example, from different angles, up close, and see kind of the small motions of the vehicle. And what you will see here is that it's just really, really steady. Just a beautiful flight. This is the initial hover, and then a turn. And then hover again for 20 more seconds. And then the landing. And just the tiniest little bounce that you can see there on the landing. And that is also completely expected. I think we have a video as well from the rover that we looked at before that we're going to see again. And this again, shows us the same thing, this time with real images from the vantage point of the rover. And it shows you, when you get up to altitude here, a little bit more clearly how it gets buffeted a little bit by the wind and how it very gently makes its way back and lands safely where it needs to be. And what's exciting about this is a flight that we've done hundreds, if not 1,000 times before, but always in simulation. It's always been on a computer. And to see it now finally happen on Mars and happen exactly the way that we imagine it is just a really incredible feeling. Now, while it was flying, it has to keep track of where it is. And the way that it does that, in part, is by taking images of the ground below it, 30 images per second, and analyzing those in order to understand how it's moving. Now, those images are primarily there exactly for that purpose, not necessarily there to be looked at, but it turns out, we grabbed a few of those images and downlinked them to Earth this morning, and it turns out they're absolutely stunning in what they show. What we see here is Ingenuity taking a picture of its own shadow right below it, and I think this is just a stunning image, notwithstanding the fact that it's a low-resolution black and white photograph. We have another image from the same camera, which shows just a moment right before touchdown. You can see the legs are just about to meet the ground here. And this is a very interesting image to me, in part because of what it doesn't show, which is it doesn't show a lot of obscuration from dust, which is one of the things that we weren't so sure about prior to doing this experiment. So already we're learning things here. And in particular here, dust did not seem to be an issue in terms of obscuring the navigation camera close to the ground. In the next few days, we expect to perform further flights, and we also expect to get color images down from the helicopter. Now, one more thing that I want to mention here is that the International Civil Aviation Organization has assigned us a 3-letter designator for Ingenuity, IGY, India Golf Yankee, with the call sign Ingenuity. And those details will be officially included in the next edition of ICAO's designators for aircraft operating agencies, aeronautical authorities, and services. And the location of the flight was assigned an ICAO location designator, JZRO, for Jezero Crater, where the NASA Mars operation took place. And of course, these designators come in handy when we go to write our logbook. This is something that should be very familiar to any pilot out there. We always want to log our flights so we don't forget that we did them. And so for that purpose, we have, I have this logbook with me. It says the nominal pilot's logbook for planets and moons, because we're always thinking ahead here at NASA. So with that, I'd like to talk to Justin, who will talk more about the imaging.
Okay, thank you, Håvard. I'm Justin Maki. I'm the Perseverance rover imaging scientist and also the deputy PI of Mastcam-Z. And I'm here just really happy to be here to share with you the results of our imaging over the last few hours on Mars. There's sort of two cameras that we're talking about. The video camera is the Mastcam-Z camera, which is a science camera that PI is Jim Bell at Arizona State University and his team over there, and it was built by Malin Space Science Systems down in San Diego. Mike Kaplinger, Mike Revine with the hardware group built an excellent piece of hardware for us, and also Jensen running the ops team down there, and Kim Saxon here at JPL as our instrument engineer. And a whole team of people made this happen, so I just want to just thank all of them for getting us to this point. And then the other camera, I'll show some pictures from the ECAM system, the navigation cameras on the rover with our ops team. Those cameras were built here at JPL and our ops teams, Nick Ruoff and Amy Culver. So just credit to the entire rover team. I'm wearing my rover blue here. I'm actually on the heli team also, but I had to pick a color, so I'm representing the rover team here. The uplink and downlink engineering teams, just keeping the rover running, the orbiters, our partners, getting us all this data is just really amazing, and we thank all of them, both here in NASA and ESA, TGO, and also the Deep Space Network. So I just wanted to thank all of these people for making this really happen. They enable all of this work. So with that, without further ado, I guess we'll go to the video one more time because you cannot see this enough. By the way, it only came down about 2 hours ago, the full frame. So let's go ahead and show the video. I'll talk a little bit about it. It's a 720p video. It's 1280 by 720 pixels. It runs at about 6.7 frames per second. And we originally had the strategy of downlinking the 2.4 second snippet. So there it goes. You can see it taking off. And if you look carefully, you can see it turning in flight. People have talked about that. And this is new. This just came down right before this press conference. Turning in flight and then coming back and landing. So I mentioned the frame rate. This is with our one of our wider angle settings on the camera, 34 millimeters. So it's a little more a contextual shot. We also shot a full zoomed version on the heli itself where the heli flies out of the field of view. We have not downlinked those full frame images yet. So we're expecting those in the coming days. We did verify from the imagery that the heli did take off about 3 meters above the surface, so that's an independent verification. The heli blades are a little blurred due to it's about a 10 millisecond exposure, which is about a 1/2 rotation of the blade at 2600 RPM, roughly, like 0.4. And let's see, and so far we've received about 14 or a little over 1,000 frames. I counted 1,400 last check out of about 2,000. So once again, the orbiter performance has really made this possible to even show you this so quickly to get video from the surface of Mars. So it's really an amazing feat by everybody. So the next image then is, again, going back to the fully zoomed 110 millimeter Mastcam-Z picture of the heli on the ground. Again, this is just a nice shot showing, if you look closely, it may be hard to tell, if you look closely at the center, you can see that there's a camera on the helicopter itself that is now facing the rover, and it was not facing the rover before, so that's proof that it did turn in flight. And it's just a nice shot showing that the heli landed safely, and that's just a great picture to have. So then the next picture is now switching cameras. We're going to go to the Navcam camera, and the Navcam camera does not have the video capabilities like Mastcam-Z, but we did take pictures during the flight, and this blink, hopefully it'll blink. You'll see the heli. That's the heli on the ground there. Looking carefully. Okay, no, actually, you know what? This is the other one. Now, if you look carefully at the heli, you should be able to see it shifting. That shows the difference between the takeoff location and the landing location. Maybe hard to see in the video, but we'll put that out we'll release that so people could look at that more closely. I can see it from here, but hopefully it'll come out in the video. So it just shows that the landing was just sort of a real pinpoint landing there by the team, and so congrats to the heli team for just nailing it, Håvard and company. And then the last video, or the last blink GIF shows, hopefully it shows the full height there. There it is. Okay. So we have the full height of the helicopter there, captured by the Navcam mid-flight, and then a comparison with the heli then on the ground, which will show the full height. It's hard to see the video there from here, but the main summary is that actually, you know what, I'm looking at this. This looks like this is the Mastcam-Z again. Well, we just got the data all down, so it sounds like it might be slightly out of order. I think the main point here is that we are swimming in data right now, and we're just cataloging it basically and learning about the flight. We're just extremely happy for this whole team, the rover team and the heli team. And I just wanted to close my statements by mentioning, I mentioned that I was on the heli team. This is like with Bob, like 7 years ago, where we were talking about taking pictures from a heli. Seeing it all come together like this is really reminiscent of another project that I worked on 24 years ago, the Mars Pathfinder mission, where we had the Sojourner rover, which was a new technology, a new capability. There were skeptics at the beginning, and then once something like this happens on Mars, the skeptics get converted, and it soon becomes a new way of doing things. And I really feel this project, this team has the same vibe that we had 24 years ago with Sojourner. Just going from a concept to demonstration like this is going to open up new avenues and new ways of exploring. So it's very exciting. We're very excited that this is all working so well, and just happy to get all this data back.
All right, thanks, Justin, and thanks for rolling with it. As Justin says, the images are all coming down in a fire hose, and we will make the images available for you all online, so look for it on the website. So we're going to transition now into Q&A. So a reminder for our colleagues from the media, if you're on the telecon line, please press *1 to get into the queue. And for others who are using social media, you can use the hashtag #MarsHelicopter. Our first question on the media line comes from Marcia Dunn of the AP.
Yes, hi, congratulations. I've got a couple questions for the chief pilot, I believe, Mr. Grip. What was the wind speed at Wright Brothers Field today for the flight? And when are you anticipating to attempt Flight 2? I know you had a schedule laid out in advance, but since you're a week down on the timeline, I wasn't sure if you were going to try to rush things along. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of the winds, we did take additional data during the flight, and we expect to get some more information about what the actual winds were at that time. What we can operate with is, at this point, is the forecast that we have based on prior data. And there is some uncertainty on that, but the most recent indications that I have is that it was on the order of somewhere between 2 to 6 meters per second of wind, and that's what we were dealing with. And that would seem, just eyeballing the behavior of the flights, that doesn't seem inconsistent with the behavior, although it's hard to say much more than that. As far as when we perform next flight specifically, I'll let Mimi perhaps answer that question.
Sure, yeah. So we'll get the high rate data downlink from the helicopter to us tomorrow, and then we will be attempting to fly within the next few days. So
as far as when we perform the next flight specifically, I'll let Mimi perhaps answer that question.
Sure, yeah. So we'll get the high rate data downlink from the helicopter to us tomorrow, and then we will be attempting to fly within the next few days. So
as far as when we perform the next flight specifically, I'll let Mimi perhaps answer that.
Sure, yeah. So we'll get the high rate data downlink from the helicopter to us tomorrow, and then we will be attempting to fly within the next few days. So
as far as when we perform the next flight specifically, I'll let Mimi perhaps answer that question.
So we'll get the high rate data downlink from the helicopter to us tomorrow, and then we will be attempting to fly within the next few days.
Over the next 2 flights, flights 2 and 3, and that will inform what we do for that flight. Just in general terms, what you're talking about here is going higher, going further, going faster, stretching the capabilities of the helicopter in those ways. But exactly how far in those directions is a discussion that we need to have.
So regardless, I can add that we will be pushing the envelope. So as we succeed in certain lateral flights, we're going to go further, faster, definitely, especially towards the